Hello, it's been a while. Well, everything is a bit shit right now. I have been working from home for 6 months now. And that's not the shit part. I love working from home. I have just not felt great for the last few weeks, mostly because my job has been really stressful and I've been working full-time hours, but we've been furloughed a day, so my salary has been cut, but I still need to work that day because the workload is crazy. So it's just been my job being stressful, worrying about money. I haven't been sleeping that well, and you know, the pandemic and just the unknown. And I think I'm just feeling a little bit homesick. I was supposed to fly back to England today, and I know everyone is feeling this and more, and some people have lost their jobs, and we're just all going through this crazy time together. It is crazy to think that Justin and I were supposed to fly to England today. We had this whole trip planned that we were going to fly to England to see my family, and then we were going to take the train to Paris, and then we were going to fly to Dublin and spend some time there, and then we were going to go back to England before going back to New York. Like, who the fuck were we to think that we could visit 3 countries in 2 weeks? How crazy does that sound now? I mean, I booked that trip at the very beginning of the year, so we had no idea that there would be a global pandemic, and things like visiting 3 countries probably won't be a thing for a while, but yeah. I think I'm just feeling extra homesick because I should have been going home this week, and it's also just the unknown. Like, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to go back to England, when it's going to be safe to go back to England. And I honestly don't even know if I'm allowed into England right now. I don't think so, right? So I've just been feeling down because duh, the pandemic. But I also haven't been doing YouTube, I haven't been doing the podcast. At the very beginning of quarantine, Kitty, who is my best friend in England, who was the co-host of the podcast with me, the dog podcast I have, That's So Fetch, she decided that she didn't want to be a co-host, which is absolutely fine and I respect that. But I was going to hopefully continue doing the podcast because I do love it, and I was going to have guests. But to be completely honest, I've just not had the time to work on the podcast, especially now. It's so much more time consuming to reach out to guests and message guests and research guests and schedule a time, and then I've also got to use a different program to have guests, whereas Kitty and I, it was just like a FaceTime call. That's literally the concept of the podcast, was that it was 2 best friends that are dog obsessed that talk about dogs all the time anyway, and we just recorded our FaceTime calls. So yeah, I haven't had the time to reach out to guests. And I also just haven't had the confidence. I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's just anxiety from work and life, and I don't know, yeah. And I'm the type of person that needs side projects. Like, I need other things to keep me going, and that makes me feel better. It makes me feel more productive. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. It makes me feel like, I don't know, I have something to do. Whereas if I don't work on my side projects, I just feel kind of lost. And I think that's probably contributed. It's like a vicious circle. It's contributed to my anxiety because I feel like I have nothing to work on, but I just haven't been doing the podcast or YouTube. I also just haven't felt that there is anything to vlog. Like, I am in the apartment all day, every day, and I only leave on weekends to go protest. So to catch you up on the last few months of being in a pandemic in New York City, so obviously you will have seen the recent issues with police brutality in America, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, and now Jacob Blake. And I mean, America has a serious issue, and there are so many names, and those are just the ones from this year. Obviously, there are cases from years previous that still don't have justice. And you know, it's not just deaths or injustice at the hands of the police, it is also just the pure racism running through America. And Michaela and I have been protesting most weekends. I took some clips of some of the protests that we went to. Obviously, I didn't vlog the whole thing because I am there to protest and listen to speakers and just be present. And honestly, as horrifying as it is to see everything going on in America, the protests in New York City have been incredible. It has been so amazing to see everyone come together and demand justice and stand up for Black lives, because we all know damn well that those officers would not have been charged if there weren't worldwide protests. And, you know, we were part of some incredible protests. We were part of the, I think it was 30,000 plus people marching across the Brooklyn Bridge. And honestly, I've never marched across the Brooklyn Bridge more in the past few months than I have since I moved here. We also took the ferry out to Far Rockaway Beach, and we took Harley, and Harley had her little sign to support the protesters it was surfers doing a paddle out protest. So they would get on their surfboards, paddle out to the middle of the sea and chant in the sea. We marched to Abolition Plaza where Occupy City Hall was. We went to a Unite NY march where they had a double bass and a tuba, and they marched with them and played for a full 5 hours from Cadman Plaza all the way to the Chelsea Piers. And we all had some kind of makeshift instrument, so I took like a cup and a wooden spoon. We marched in collaboration with the Dykes March during Pride Week, and we marched across the Brooklyn Bridge again, and everyone had like drums, and it was just so great. And then we went to the Black Women's March. We took over the FDR, and we would protest and march for 7 hours straight, and we would be hot or tired or thirsty, and then, you know, we would look over and we would see someone that's blind and marching with a cane, or a man with cerebral palsy that is walking with a gait and came alone to the march just to say Black Lives Matter, and it was just really inspiring. And every protest that we have been to has been non-violent, and the NYPD presence has been aggressive and for pure intimidation. Every video I have seen has been police starting the violence. When Michaela and I were leaving the Black Women's March, there were vans full of NYPD just waiting outside the park where the march finished up and they were doing speaking, and there were vans full of NYPD in full riot gear just waiting for the protest to disperse. And as Michaela and I were walking past one of the vans, the NYPD was just sat there in their full riot gear and were waving at us and making hearts at the window just to antagonize us, because they fucking love this shit. The NYPD are dicks. They are fucking loving this. They get off on this shit. And this is what happens when you have people in power with no accountability. And honestly, New York City has been nowhere as bad as Portland. If you have not seen what's going on in Portland, please research it. I will leave resources in the description below, but the US is in a bad place and it's scary. So this is what I have been up to for the last few months. I will include some of the clips of protests. I will try and find some of the drone footage, and I'm gonna try and vlog more. I was looking back at some of my old vlogs and I miss vlogging, I miss editing. I like having my vlogs to look back on. I think as much as this is a strange, scary, anxiety-inducing time, I would like to have the vlogs to look back on. I love people's boring everyday stuff. I've gotten really into watching Sophie and Dave on YouTube. It's just a nice thing to have on the background. It's very wholesome, it's very easygoing, they don't do much, but I love it. And it's just weird things, like, I think mostly I like watching it because it's very British and Sophie always has a cup of tea, and it's just weird things like they went to the post box and it was just nice for me to see the red post box, and they went to Asda and Tesco and it was just nice for me to see the supermarkets. So yeah, here are my last few months of living through a pandemic in New York City.
No justice, no peace, fuck these racist ass police. No justice, no peace, fuck these racist ass police.
Trayvon Martin's killer signed his name on Skittles packages.
Black women matter. Black girls matter.
And no homeland or ICE or police that are supposed to serve us will wage war against the citizens that it's supposed to protect and serve. But we do pay tribute to everyone who was sent to the emergency room, who was hurt in Portland over these past couple of weeks. We also pay tribute to the late and great John Lewis, who passed away. We're gonna unite together in song, and then we are going to eat. We fight together and break bread together. That's family. So you guys know this song. It's just Lean on Me. Yes? Yes. So it just says, sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are right, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me. Come on. When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Boy, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have been, you need to borrow. For no one can feel those up your knees that you won't let go. Come on, you just call on me, brother. Yeah, I need somebody to lean on. I must like to have a partner. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me, yeah. When you're not strong, say it loud. I'll be your friend. Hey, I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on me, yeah. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Yeah, give yourself a hand. Lean on each other. That's what community looks like. Yes?
Hi, is anyone in here? Okay, I'm at off-leash hours for the first time in like 4 months. In a mask, in a global pandemic, but Harley's loving it. I have a day off today, so we're just gonna explore, take Harley swimming, and have a nice day in the park. Harley, what is it? What is it, Harley? He's dead. You want to go swim? Let's go swim. Harley, yeah, good girl. Ready? Go. Good girl. Harley. Harley, come on. Because we haven't been here in so long, I forgot how to get to our private swim spot. So there's Dog Beach, and then we have this area that we walk to. And there's nice clear water. And no one here. Nice and cold.
I don't think they like this scooter. I don't think they're used to seeing it. So I'm a bit worried about being kicked. And they're right on the path. They've just gone off and left me. Right, he's out of the way. They're following Dad.
There's two on the...
Right, my battery's now died in the middle of the woods. We've got a little friend here come to see us.
Coco's eating grass.
What a drama. Right, what are we going to do? How far's that gate up there?
Quite far.
Oh.
I could go get the wheelchair.
Well, I'll see if I can walk. I'm going to have to see if I can walk.
Alright, good morning. I have not vlogged in a long time. I am on my way to my co-worker's apartment because I've got to get a work laptop. I've never had an actual work laptop, and now that we are working from home pretty much indefinitely, then I have to get one. Fucking hell, my face is so sweaty. It is disgusting. Like, I'm glad I'm not commuting every day in this. I mean, we're gonna have a tornado today, like it's so stormy. Hi. Hello, little guy. we going?
Where are we going?
Oh no. Thanks.
Maybe. Oh, I think because of the storm.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Oh.
Oh, furniture's going here too.
Are you done? You want to go back in? What is it, Batman? Some fries? Oh, no, no.